philosophers, and from Socrates down to Aristotle, is called the post-Socratean philosophers. We don't know Socrates other than by Plato. Plato is the one that said there was a Socrates. No Greek chronologer knows of Socrates. Even Eusebius and Darius, who were the first chronologers of Greece, only could say that Plato said there was a man named Socrates. There's no record of any Socrates other than the word. It's just like the nation called Atlantis. Plato said that when he was in Egypt, they told him about Atlantis. That is the only thing about ancient words about Atlantis. But Plato said. Now, we don't have Plato until the 4th century before the Common Era. But when we look at Thales, the first place we saw him, he is in Egypt learning philosophy to become the first philosopher. So it can't be, because, for instance, one of the greatest things that the Greeks spoke of was the summum bonum, the law of the greatest good. But the law of the greatest good had been taught at Saqqara, at the Grand Lodge of Saqqara, and Saqqara was 4100 BC, whereas there was no Greece until 1000 BC. So if the Africans are teaching philosophy in 4100 BC, and Greece isn't until 1000, right? Remember the numbers are going back because it's BC. Then the question is new. We can go to the writings of in the Book of the Dead, or the writings in the Book of Gates, and any of the other major Egyptian and Ethiopian Nubian works, and find them. And they didn't come the way from drop down from heaven. Man wrote them.
I'd like to make a statement and ask 2 questions, Dr. Ben. One thing I got to say is I used to be a very religious person, and I want to know, I've asked myself the question, where was God at when man was here a million years ago, you know? And like I hear you say, the Jewish religion is 1625 BC.
1675. The 13th dynasty was the birth of the first Jew, Abraham.
It was 2,000 years ago, a little bit less. So I don't worry about that no more. I find that since I got rid of the religion I feel more freer anyway. Two questions I want to ask. When I hear something, I like to know if I repeat it to my friends what I'm talking about. And one is, how long is a dynasty? And then I'll ask that question.
A dynasty could be a day, it could be 100 years. It's like the Yankees, a dynasty, a period of rule, either by a person, it could be a group of persons or a group of a family. So that it's dependent. For instance, Akhenaten family, the Amenhoteps, from 1 all the way down to 4, ruled in a dynasty, the Amenhoteps. Whereas Amenhotep's the 4th son-in-law, Tut-Ankh-Aten, before they changed the name to Tut-Atom, only ruled for about 4 or 5 years. There's an argument as whether he was 12 when he took over and to 17 when he died, or 17 to 19. It doesn't matter. He was a teenager when he took over, and he was a teenager when he died. You have had pharaohs who got killed, let's say, after a few days on the throne, so and rub out the dynasty. So it's a period of time which does not have any limit.
The other question is, I was listening to a Jewish broadcaster, and it didn't surprise me that he was quoted today one thing and you quoted another one. He was claiming that Akhenaten was after the Jews had came into Egypt, after, you know, Abraham had founded the Jewish religion, you know. And so,
he is correct. Akhenaten is after Abraham. But there was no written laws. There was no Bible, Jewish Bible. before Akhenaten.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Abraham is 1675, but there is no writing or teaching from Abraham. The Torah, or the Pentateuch, or the Chumash, these are named for the same book, or the Old Testament, mean the same thing, was not written until 700 at the Sanhedrin. So he's wrong in that case. There was no Hebrew book called Torah. As a matter of fact, there was no Genesis. The Torah was written starting with the book of Exodus. It is at the Council of Jamia in 220, after 500 years almost after they had already written Exodus, that Rabbi Agrippa and Rabbi Hillel wrote Genesis, because it looked funny. They live in a place and they ain't watering that here. So they added another book and called it 5 books of Moses. It could not even be Moses, because Moses supposed to have his fight with Ramesses the second, that's Setai-I's son. Ramesses took over from his father, Setai I, in 1298. He ruled until 1232. The argument or altercation between him and Moses supposed to have taken place in 1236, 4 years prior to his death. If it's 1236 and Moses went to the desert for 40 years, that would bring us to 1196. But the Torah wasn't published until 700. That means 400 years from the disappearance of Moses before the Torah was published. So Moses can't write it 400 years after he died. You see, one of the things is, I don't believe in spirits, goggles, and Google hoops. That ghost bringing books, you know. I know there's only one where books are written. That's by human beings.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I don't know any God writing in a book. I don't know of any angel flying around carrying a book.
Yes, sir.
Now, maybe some people deal with spirits and spooks. I don't. I know there's only one way a book is written. Only one, yeah. And there's only one, and they come down and sky hooks the clouds.
And it did even in Egypt. There was some sort of written codified moral creed. You mentioned some queen having this, or some goddess having this moral codification, some laws. You sort of screwed me up on, say, Christianity, or King James Version. And I'm sure you screwed up a lot of people too. You know, you said leave and think about it. Now that has been in existence for some time, and these people have been brought up under. Don't you think that you should be suggesting some sort of codification that you might use in your own life for us?
I don't want to bother mess you up.
Go right ahead.
I clear your mind. The fact is, if you're a man with a child, what I did for you is to go back and look at your womb and to say, good morning, goddess. To look at your beautiful, pure human child and say to her, thank you for you and I having brought forward a greater child as this. What I'm saying, that religion is in between both of you. God is between both of you and that child. 3. That God don't fly around in the air. And God isn't the secret monster man that kill people when he don't like what they do. And go send people to burn in the fire with a crazy maniac who cooking people like Queenie Burger. That kind of jive, you know. It's here. God made man and then got tired and rest. It is a man writing and see this God like he see himself.
Right.
That God will get tired and got to rest. You, whatever version you use, whether it be King James, or let's go to the original one, the coined Bible. It doesn't matter. The story is still the same. First of all, it's a story that condemns women. The Adam and Eve story is an insult to my daughter and my mother. That's going to say it. To say, and I know where it comes from. It comes from a bunch of desert people, men, who even got to hide the woman's face, that was scared of the woman, and would have put on a chastity belt if they had one, as some in Europe did, who still got no respect for the woman, and who still say in their righteous book that you must beat a woman. Let them say, why is it still says a woman should be beaten even when she didn't do anything wrong, to remind her she's got a child in the house? You mean to tell me God sent that down too? To beat a woman when she didn't do nothing, to just remind her she's got a child in the house? You hit my daughter, I will come and shotgun to you. Now, I said that Egypt, as well as Ethiopia, the nations of the Nile, revised their concept of the deity time after time. It wasn't standard. Man is always seeking an answer to why, where, and how. He doesn't know. He is groping for an answer to satisfy himself. But to say that this group, that the only answer, even the Egyptians didn't have the answer. They were looking. If you go, that's why I said, go to Egypt, go in the tombs, go in the temples, where they wrote, where they draw their beliefs, and see. Look, go to the temple of Hathor Adendera in a chapel. There's a chapel, when you come up from the Holy of Holies, you come right into the chapel. You know how they show the sun? They show Goddess Nut in the ceiling of the temple, as they do in most temples. Would people who have been to Egypt please raise your hand with me? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And there may be more. So you know what I am telling you, so. They show the sun coming out of Nut, a woman, an African woman's vagina in the morning, right, as a symbol of life. They show the rays of the sun, and they show Goddess Hathor holding the twig, a little tree, the tree of life. And then in the night, the sun come back in her mouth and go again, constantly. They won't nobody draw any picture like that before. Nobody before the age. There is no book written on a God concept before the African of the Nile Valley. That anyone could bring. I could carry you and show you the original papyrus, which is now in the London Museum. I could carry you to Ethiopia and show you them. And as I said, the Twa and the Hutu, who in Central Africa, they're called in Northern Africa Sibenetos. They're called in Southern Africa Grimaldi, Khoikhoi, and Khoisan. Those people drew on the caves the Ankh. The Yoruba still in West Africa use the Ankh. One group call it the key of life. The other group call it the symbol of fertility, which means the same thing. I would like somebody to show me an older document on spirituality than that.
Dr. Ben, I'm not questioning that. I'm not questioning anything you say there. I'm questioning morality as it stands today among me and my brothers, my sisters, I mean, most societies seem to have had some sort of rule by which you live with other people. I'm not questioning the deity. I'm having trouble with that to begin with, and I'm always searching for that. I am talking about me living with my brother over here, right, my sister over there. Me and my wife, we're okay. The kid's okay too. You know, I can teach him so much, but I'm sure there is some greater order, some more knowledgeable people like yourself
Man, I've
that
always
should
had
give you
philosophy.
more to go by.
When people decide to get together, they make laws to govern themselves.
Right.
That's it.
Well, I don't think that I'm not an intellectual. I can't.
Neither me.
I'm here listening to you.
You see,
but
look,
we need more like that. We need something to
yes,
look up to. We need
and that's what I
somebody
said.
more. Other people need more.
Look, I went to the white man's school, and I went to the black man's school. My schooling took me Ethiopia, Brazil, Cuba, Puerto Rico, United States Virgin Islands, Spain, England, and the United States. Some of that were in formal classrooms. Most of my education has been on my own. Libraries all over the world, tombs and temples in different lands, seeing all kinds of different religion and different beliefs, dealing with ministers, rabbis, imams, and you name it, in conferences, in teaching situations, and you name it. And yet all of them based upon belief, not one based upon knowledge. Every religion, man is given his concept, his belief, his desire, his hope. No man have been at a beginning, and no man have been at an end. So no man knows of a beginning, and no man knows of an end. He believes, he conceptualizes. It's just like a minister said over the bear, and the dead man is there. He says, I know Johnny would have wanted a damn liar. He don't know what Johnny would have wanted. Even if Johnny used to drink liquor every day, it might have been just the day Johnny didn't drink no liquor. So he doesn't know what Johnny would want. He knows up to the day what Johnny did. He don't know what Johnny would want the day after he died. Because Johnny don't know Johnny died.
All right,
the blue?
okay. Represent. My observations have been that if a person is a Christian and taught the Christian way, no, if a person is a Christian brother in a Christian church, they're only taught the Christian way, so to speak. If a person is a Muslim, they're only taught Islam, Judaism, etc. So I think that's part of the problem. We only taught one thing based on which particular religion you're in, and that seems to be something based on the powers that be that's against the African origins of religion. Can you elaborate on that?
All right. I think you lay your hand on the problem. Most of us either know one or two. We either convert, we've been a victim of the first one, and a convert to the next one. Both of them have been religions of the slave master. And we want to clean up the slave master. But you're right. I was that way. But I got to thank whatever powers that be, plus my daddy's pocketbook, that I had an opportunity to travel, plus and the United Nations I got to thank. As I went over the world and noticed all different types of religion, I went to Papua New Guinea. There were 132 people in Kasik, a place called Kasik. They had their own language because of the amount of volcanoes. You can't build bridges. The 28th of the world's active, 2/3 of the world's active volcanoes are in Papua New Guinea, 2/3, and they're active. I went to that village, and those people had their own god. They don't have any record of being contaminated with somebody else's God concept. And they had the only God, the only right God in the world. No other God was correct but theirs. Then I went to Sepik, where most of the people that dominate the government is from. And they had a God which was the only right God. And as I traveled Asia and Africa, North and South America, Australia, I found the only right God hundreds of times. The only right one. And the only right one is the one for the people that believe in that one. All the others are wrong. As you hit the nail on the head. If you only talk one way, and you only know one way, and you never examine anything else, you are myopic. You know, they got some race horses that bolt, and they put a shade so that you can't see either way. You bounce a good way down, and that is the people. They're myopic.
All right, we're going to take about 3 more questions and whatnot. The brother on this side, brother here. Any sisters? Okay, the brother over here first. The brother over here.
Until a few years ago, when the state of Israel took the financial Jews out of Ethiopia into Israel,
The better Israel.
nobody in the West knew much about them. Could you enlighten us as to their origins and what is the connection between the religion as practiced by the Falashas and the religion of the Jews as we know them now?
Well, first I'd like to correct something. We are not Falashas. We are called and call ourselves Better Israel, the house of Israel. Falasha is an Amharic word, meaning don't touch me, funny people, strangers, you know, a very negative term. It's almost like Chankala, which I am called at home. Chankala is an Ethiopian with heavy lips, such as myself, called by most of the Amharics with thin lips, started by Saraki. One Ethiopian called another Ethiopian name, and the European called him nothing. He started a thing and he made nothing to them. But anyhow, the Torah, which is the Hebrew book, or Chumash, or which the Westerners call, with their addition, Christians call the Old Testament, without the Christian addition, input, said that Moses married the daughter of the high priest of Ethiopia. That tells you at least during the time of Moses, they existed in Ethiopia. In the time of Isaiah, he speaks of sending fast men to the people, unblemished people, their cousins in Ethiopia. Again, another reference to the Hebrews in Ethiopia. There's a reference also of Makeda in what is called the Kebra Negats. The Kebra Negats means Book of the Kings, or Book of the Throne, Book of the Monarchs. It is a book that Ethiopia kept from the time of Makeda, which some people call Queen of Sheba, until Selassie was overthrown in 1974. That book have been kept. And it dates around 971, when Makeda was supposed to have some intercourse, some sexual intercession with Solomon and produce an offspring which our history call Habna Hakim, which Westerners call Menelik the first. And at that time, the throne of Ethiopia changed from the worship of God Ra, symbolized by the sun, to the worship of Yahweh or Yahweh. She turned it over to her son. At various times, the Hebrews ruled Ethiopia from then, the last time being about 870 of the Common Era, when Chief Radai lost power, and that was the last time the Hebrews had power in Ethiopia. That's a synopsis of the religion. But to tell you how old they are is to be based in our, and I said all by virtue of my family, I don't practice the religious practice. Beta Israel still have the work practice of the sacrificial lamb and Rosh Hashanah, Pesach, and Yom Kippur. Rosh Hashanah is the New Year, Pesach is the Passover period, and Yom Kippur is the Day of Atonement. We still have a woman never enters the temple. And of course, we never call it the temple as long as they're outside of Israel. They call it the shul, or the house of worship. Temple is used only in terms of Israel. I don't practice now. I don't have the connection to Israel. I come with a family. We still have women never enter the house of worship. They come on the outside. We're not like Europeans, where women sit on one side or upstairs or downstairs. They don't come in the shul at all. I couldn't agree with that because it's obvious. I don't practice. I came up, grew up under it. We still have another unit. Nobody, a woman cannot come to any of the ceremonies on the mountain, especially if she is in blood. We have still, women don't stay in the house with a husband when they are in blood. Women, if a woman have a child, a boy child, she has to stay 40 days in the house of blood before she can come back in the community. All those kind of things. It's not practiced by the Western Hebrews. The only people who practice it very close to us are the Yemenite Jews. They have very close kind of practice. So the Beta Israel, the others here will be reformed for us. That's how. No. The Beta Israel speak as Hebrew that goes back to the time of Isaiah. They don't speak Sephardic, which is a Hebrew that started in Spain. That's what the word Sephard means. They don't speak Afrikan, which is a mixture of Jewish and Yiddish and German that started in Germany. They don't speak the kind of Yiddish that comes from the Hasidic Jews from Poland, etc. They speak the type of Hebrew that comes from the way back of the days of Isaiah. The Hebrews in Ethiopia are of different groups. For instance, I am supposed to be born, and I say supposed because it's all nonsense, in the tribe of Gad and Ephraim. My father is from Ephraim. My mother is from Gad. European Jews don't have used those two groups, the two tribes. Europeans only use Israel, and Israel was the breaking up the state. They use Levi, the writer of the Torah, they're the scribes, and they use Judah, the fighters, the soldiers, the family of the soldiers. Oh, that's where the word Jew come from. Jew come from Yehuda or Judah, and then Jew is the British English derivative from those two terms. Now, there are numerous books. I did a 800-page book on the Hebrews of Ethiopia and elsewhere. But those are the sources of the origin of Ethiopian Hebrews. For me, I am not a Hebrew. I am an African. I am agnostic. If you ask me to your church, your synagogue, your mosque, and by the way, some people believe that because they join Islam, they're the only one who know Islam. I would match my reading skill of classical Arabic with any one of them. I don't just say Assalamu and finish, or quote something for Quran, some prayer, and then put them in the midst of Arabia, and they can't say a damn thing but Assalam. Now, there's some people that assume that you got to be a Muslim to know Islam, you got to be a Christian to know Christianity, you got to be a Jew to know Judaism, and all they could do is quote some prayer, or do a salat. Any jackass could do that. You could chain a dog to do that. To know the history of that broad origin is the deification of culture. Religion is the deification of a culture. And anytime you take a foreign religion and impose it on another culture, you destroy the people's mind. And you cannot justify a slave master raping your mother, enslaving your father, and doing all manner of things. I don't care what he calls himself and to whom he prays. In 639 of the Common Era, or 18 years after the Hijrah, that's the year Muhammad fled Mecca and howled for the Ethiopian king to help him. If Allah had given him the book, by Allah to protect him. Begged the Ethiopian king to protect him, claiming that his grandmother and his maternal grandmother was an Ethiopian. He didn't come to change the religion, the Coptic faith. Why did it come? Why did it come when Benzai, when Al-Sinin, when Hatzat Kubat ibn Rabal, otherwise called Bilal, who was a slave, but what was his work as a slave? He was a lawyer, a barrister, who was ambassador from Ethiopia to Mecca. When the war, they held him and turned him into a slave, but still doing legal work. When Muhammad met him after marrying the woman who had become widowed for the man that had ruled him, you can tell me that coming to Africa, murdering my people, and that was in 638. The European Christians all came there in 1506, doing the same thing. 638 to 1506 is about 800 years before European enslavement. The Arabs did, and he still does, along with the Europeans. It is not the European alone who has to leave Africa, but the Arab too. When we finish with the European, we're going to have to deal with him. Ben Bella was the only one of them who was willing, and another man named Naguib, but Naguib was an African. Muhammad Naguib was the first president of Egypt, even before Nasser. He was the one that overthrew Farouk. And Naguib wanted this Nile Valley states to reunite. They got rid of it. What has happened to us that we will fight and protect any foreigner from our group of anything that bring to us? We change our name and take on another foreigner name. We left one slave master's identity and take on another slave master. I am not happy with the name Ben Yekana. It's not African. No more than I will be happy with the name Ibn Abdullah. And I won't change Ben Yochanan for Ibn Abdullah. When I change Ben Yochanan, I'm going to take an African name if I do. And I kept this because of the association with my children. But I don't name my children Hebrew names. I give all of them the name I should have had, an African name. You see, and I am not arguing the fight of Islam, Christianity. I'm tired of the damn nonsense. Because nobody mistreat me for being a Muslim. Not here. They don't mistreat me for being a Jew. They don't mistreat me for being a Christian. They mistreat me because of this. They kick my behind whether I'm Muslim, Christian, Jewish, or pumpkin eater. And I don't give a damn about none of them, those religions. I realize that you could be all the born again you want. You could be Al-Mahdi, Al-Mahuhu, anything. You could be Jewy and Jua. You gonna catch hell like me. Or like an atheist. Our problem isn't religion. Our problem is us. Our problem is my not being, you see, everybody's willing to fight for religion. If we go up there and a bunch of Arab attack us, most of the Muslims going with the Arabs against us. If a bunch of Christians attack us, most of the people going as Christians. And that's what's sad. That they divide us by praying. And they're going to suck it to us again if it comes. Because we don't identify as other races. A Muslim Arab don't see me. Now, for all of them talking, I have been and lived in Islamic countries. Most of these people ain't live no way. They ain't gonna live there. They should go to Egypt. Go, like me, to Tunisia. Go to Morocco and see how they treat the black people there. See the work we got. Don't show me an isolated person, one isolated person walking there. Show me the vast majority of those that like, go to Arabia and see how my people work and what happens to them. Go to Europe. Stay here. The question is, the issue is, my race, not my religion. I associate with you because you're a member of my race. I don't give a damn how you pray. You can pray with behind, up, east, west, north, south, in the hole. Don't give a damn. Because I know, regardless of how you pray, you and I going to suffer the same consequence as an African people. Yes, sir. Where we go? 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 My wife is a Roman Catholic, and she goes to church. Sometimes I drive her to church, and at times when she invites me, I sit up there and listen. I got a daughter who's a Jehovah's Witness. It don't matter to me. I listen to what they have radio paper. Why? But my wife, as a Roman Catholic, for 38 years, we had one argument. One. in which we had harsh words to each other. And that's the second week after we got married. Because I respect her and she respects me. She pray if she want, sorry for me. As long as those pray don't interfere with my life. And we understand. When my first child was born with this wife, my present wife, we had a girl. And we had said to make things agreeable, if boys born, they'll go Hebrew. If girls born, they'll go Catholic. But after the girl was born, and she was born 9 years before the boy, and my son needs the protection of his sister. So I said, carry him to Catholic church too. Both of them go up there so she could carry him and look up for him. You know what? After the church, they coming home to my house. And the Pope could say what the hell he wants. I got them for the week. And when I get hold of them, if that Pope got more influence, he won. Now, I could tell you, they too may believe. And I don't mind if they believe in a God or not. But I don't let them know that God is a woman and God is a man. And God is a roach and God is a bug. And God is a tree. If you tell me God is everywhere, then God is in the toilet bowl. As well as the refrigerator. As well as the light. As well as me in here. You say everywhere. And you say, I am in the image of God. Therefore, I am God. You can't tell me them things I don't expect me to take you up on it. But as soon as we start praying to God, to bring you a man, to bring you a woman, to get you a fur coat. You see, if I were going to pray to a God, it would be to don't let the sun bump in the moon. Because I can't handle that. Can't take care of that. Don't give me nothing for the woman. I will take care of that. They hear that pretty sister there. I need God to help me with you, baby. Because he may want some. Good as you look, I ain't begging him for no help. Because I am not going to share you with him. You see, I know it's an unending argument because some people need a God. Because since they're going to do anything anyhow, they need a God to do it for them.
Okay, all right. Do the time. Dr. Ben been here a while. All right. I told 2 more people I'll give them a chance. They got quick questions. You have a quick question, my brother and my sister? All right, Dr. Hanson. All right, just 2 more. Okay, brother, go ahead.
This one deals basically with the dynasty period.
The dynasty?
Right, the Egyptian dynasty.
Yeah.
Can you tell me at what point the first dynasty began?
Well, if you use Manetho, the first person to divide Egyptian history into dynastic period is High Priest Manetho. And he came from the city of Stibenetos, which is in the Delta region. When the Greeks and others had killed off most of the priests, all of the priests as a matter of fact, and left him, and had moved the books, the royal scrolls from Waset, which they later changed the name to Thebes. The current Arabs have changed it to Luxor. When they moved, they started a library in Alexandria called the Peripatetic School. And it's there that they forced Manetho to write a history of Egypt. And in writing the history of Egypt, Manetho divided it into the pre-dynastic and the dynastic period. The dynastic period was started when the reunification of southern Egypt with northern Egypt. Well, that's when a pharaoh named Narmer, a king named Narmer, or Mena, defeated the king of the north, named Scarion. The king of the north worshipped the god Amen. Nama, the king of the south, worshipped God Ra. When he defeated Scarion, he joined the worship of Amen and Ra into one and made Amen Ra. That was using the time period of the lunar calendar would be around 4100 before the Common Era. Using the Christian Justinian calendar, which we're using now, 4100 years before the Christian year 1. That would be the first dynasty. If you're using other European, Marriott, de Pijac, Champollion de Pijac, Marriott, Bodge, and others, it varies from 5000 and at BC to 3100 BC.
Is there a way you can derive how old Sphinx actually is?
No. Well, yes, dealing with, but the Sphinx, there are many Sphinxes, and the word Sphinx is really a misnomer because it's a Greek word, and it deals with a female. The one that they're referring to, the one in Giza, and Giza is the city west of Cairo. And now, at Giza, it's actually a lion body with the head of Pharaoh, Khafra. Khufu is his father. The largest of the pyramids at Giza is built by a man, a pharaoh called Khufu, which the Greeks called Cheops. His son, Khafra, who built the second pyramid there, there are 16, but only 5 you could see, the rest of this literally destroyed by the Arabs and others to make big houses and mosques. That one is the face of Khafra wearing the headcloth, and that is the largest one, one made out of a rock bed. Khafra is the 4th dynasty, and the 4th dynasty will put us around 2000 at BC.
Okay, we'll move on. All right. Move on to the last question, my sister. That's it.
Dr. Ben, thank you for coming. It's very informative. I just wanted to share something. I remember when I used to live in England, and when I was in the British Army, we used to have discussions on religion. This is part of how the English go about things. And this is mild in comparison to what we used to do with the Bible. As a matter of fact, I remember when this captain used to say to us, religion is to conquer any people, anywhere in the world. Here I am, the only black person among many. I also remember him saying, yes, there were many Jesus Christ. But if there was one Jesus Christ, as most of us had believed then, he said it's got to be an English Jew.
I agree with him, because if you're going to have a God, it should be your God, and not a God imposed on you. And that's the problem. I don't have objection to a God, but it must be my God. I am not going to worship my slave master's God. You see, the slave master and myself can't have the same God. I have to knock hell out of that God. You see, if the God of Regan is the same God of mine, I'm going to have a big argument with that God, to say the least. Now, he may get our whipping, yes, because we can't have the same God. What kind of a God going to love me and love Regan at the same time. You know, you got to ask the question. If God loved his people, how could God let that happen to me? And they say what God doesn't want can't happen. So if God didn't want slavery, it wouldn't happen. So if he wanted slavery, how could I love it? Otherwise, my God must be a different God. It isn't the same God they're talking about on Sundays and on Friday nights and on Saturday. Not for me. You see, that's why I said, you have the right to make your God if you want one. And I know my God. She died about 26 years ago, and he died about 11 years ago. Now, any other is a belief, but I know, you see, both of them are also beliefs, but there were people there who saw my mother give birth to me. And she said that she had no man other than that man in her life. I'm going along with that sweet thing because I believe her. She was the type who would tell me, she was a midwife, she would tell me the truth. If she had another man to tighten her up, and there wasn't nothing wrong, if that didn't do right, she had a right to get another man to tighten her up. You see? But she told me Daddy was the only one that poured water in my head when I was inside heaven. And I go along with the story. And since I see how the way other children are born, that's good enough for me. You see, I'm not frightened by looking at my parents because childbirth to me is the most fantastic thing I have ever seen. And I guess if most men see childbirth, maybe they will look more favorable to the woman. I know the first time I saw it was 18 and a half years old. I was 18 and a half when I got married. So people say I was fresh. They weren't fresh. I know there was a good thing I went for it. Now, it changed. Before that, I was always interested in getting laid. But when I saw my child born, when my mother, the midwife, made me pour that basin full of hot water, and so she could reach and wipe away the blood from my woman, my wife, my woman. And I saw the head coming. When the head came, and my woman screaming, it was a relief. And I getting ready to go, putting down the pail. My mother said, where you going? I said, going with this. Oh, what? She said, jackass. No, that's my mother, but she realized the situation, and she got to use drastic words. You have ever seen a child without a shoulder? I said, a shoulder gonna pass through that? She said, yeah, how the hell is it gonna pass your body? I said, but Mama, a shoulder? I gotta see this. And I saw that woman's body expand. And she's screaming. If that ain't God, what is it? You see, if we don't think that that is so important, that only God is important, then we could ignore that. But if we see that as the act of God itself, God performs. I know now when they say one foot in the grave and one foot outside. And I'm not going to belittle the status of black women with a concept of God that denied her credit. She has to take her place even with God. All right, all right.